May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer. Amen. This sermon took me longer to write than I generally spend on sermons. It just kept striking my heart and my mind and taking me places where I wasn't sure that I really wanted to go. When the days drew near to him to be taken up, he set his face to go to Jerusalem. When the days drew near. Those words just struck me, and my mind started searching. Where have I read anywhere where there was any event or any time frame or any other reference as to when he was going to go to Jerusalem? It's not like Christmas where you know it's going to come. It's not like Easter when they're set. He's ministering in Galilee, teaching, preaching, and healing. Then all of a sudden, bang, wham. Let's go. I need to go to Jerusalem. And his face was set. What happened? What all of a sudden changed his mind, abandoning the ministry that he was doing in Galilee and deciding to go? Things like that puzzle me. As I've told you before, I raised my kids to ask the question, why? I taught them, always ask why. And I asked myself, why? What happened? Well, let's talk about the Bible. In the New Testament, there are 27 different books. It's not one book. Luke is one book. It has many chapters. When the days drew near for him to be taken up. That's chapter 9. I'm opening a book. I'm looking at chapter 9. What in the first 8 must have occurred to change his mind? So I started. It's hard to read backwards. I'm working on, oh, let's look at 8. See what happened in 8. What happened in 7. I didn't have to go very far. 23 verses. I thought, maybe this is what happened. And you should remember this. You will probably just ring bells in your mind. Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, and went up on the mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the appearance of his countenance was altered. His raiment became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men talked with him, Moses and Elijah, who had appeared in glory, and spoke. Moses and Elijah, they both had left this earthly life long before. If they're appearing and speaking, it's not from this earth. And they're talking to him, and they spoke. Probably what they spoke is the key to what changed Jesus' mind and led him to go to Jerusalem. Important words. They spoke of his departure and what he was to accomplish in Jerusalem. What he was to accomplish in Jerusalem. Bingo. In some of the commentaries that I read, I came across a quote which really continued to exercise my mind. And now I have lost it. I thought I printed that page. Okay. But it read, it comes a point in everyone's life when God calls them to make a decision as to where your commitment to God is placed. How deep is your commitment? Jesus found that time. That was the time for Jesus. Moses and Elijah said, it's time. It's time for you to go. And you need to go to Jerusalem. There comes a time in everyone's life. That just gave me goosebumps. Yes, it does. There came a time in my life. It didn't come once. It came a number of times. But each time, it called on me to act. The first was a point in my life when I was struggling. And I went to the priest of the church where I attended. Many of you will know him, Dean Lawson, Father Lawson. And I said, I'm struggling. He said, I'll give you a question. I'll give you a week to come up with the answer. He said, who are you? Okay, look, that can't be very difficult. I went back to my office and started thinking about it. Who am I? And it took me almost a whole week to figure out how to answer that question. I'm a child of God, an inheritor of the kingdom of heaven. And he said, you're right. Now I'm going to give you the rest of your life to figure out what that means. Whew. Well, I started to act. I got involved in the church. Rather than just coming Sundays, I got involved. I started teaching Sunday school. I ran a children's chapel. And I started reading. But it was always with a feeling that, Richard, that's a start. But you're not there. And I contemplated on it for a long time. And finally, I went to him and I said, I think I'm being called to be a deacon. 4 years of discernment, 3 years of deacon training, and I was ordained a deacon. And I served at the same church. But the feeling didn't go away. Richard, that was good. Let's start. But you need more. I started teaching. I taught a 4-year course from Swanee on Episcopal EFM, Education for Ministry. And when we finished it, after 4 years of this same group, and they worked me very hard, part of their curriculum said, what are you going to do with what you've learned? And they all spoke up. They were going to do this and that and the other. When it got done, they turned to me and said, "And what are you going to do?" That was a tough question. I hadn't thought about it. I knew I wanted to learn more. So I did my undergraduate work at Sewanee, and I knew I was going up to spend a weekend up at Sewanee. I called the Office of Admissions at the seminary and said, "I want to talk to you about attending the seminary." That was my yes, but. Yes, but. And we have the yes, buts in today's lesson. The one who is going to follow Jesus. "Oh, I'll follow you anywhere you go." Yes, but let me go first and bury my father. Yes, but let me go first to say goodbye to my family. Yes, buts. We all have those, and I had them. Yes, but was, I have to go to the seminary to become a priest. I can't do that, but I got to put on a mask and go try. So I went to Sewanee. I met with them, spent a whole morning, and they said, "No, we'd love to have you, but you got to quit your job. You got to move. You got to come up here and live." And I thought, "Oh, thank you." Thank you. I've got my butt still. So I left there and I went back to the motel that I was staying. And later on in the afternoon, they called me and says, "We'd like to have you come back tomorrow morning and talk to you again." Oh no, I did. And they said, "We still can't take you, but we know of a seminary who will take you just like you are." Oh, there goes my butt. And I thought, Richard, you just got to do it. They're calling you. You have to act. I called them, and they said, "Yes, can you come up here tomorrow? We'd like to have an interview with you." JetBlue flies daily to Boston. I was there in the morning, and they talked to me and said, "Yes, we have a place for you. First term starts about a month from now. Will you be here?" Yes. I thought, well, Richard, you're 67 years old. The chances of you getting your degree aren't very good. It'd been 40 years since I had been to school. There were no computers when I got out of school. Now they have computers, which I don't like. I went. 4 years later, I graduated. Applied for admission as a priest, ordination as a priest, was accepted, and the rest is history. There comes a time in each of our lives where God is going to call you to do something. He may already have. You may have yes, buts. It's time to get rid of the buts. If you've got them, I hope you have a lot better time getting rid of yours than I did mine. Mine were hard. I held on to them. But I did it. And it's up to each one of us to look at what God is calling you to do. Look at your baptism, your covenants you made, to respect the dignity of every human being, to proclaim the good news of God in Christ. You've been given tasks to do. Look at your baptismal covenant. That is a good beginning. And if you haven't done them, or haven't done them faithfully and fully, find out what your butt is. And you can talk to either Father Alex, or myself. And we will help you try to get past that butt. But first, let me do this. But first, let me do that. There will come a time when you run out of time. Don't let that happen to you. Amen.
Amen.